They say omegas are supposed to be soft, gentle, sweet little things who smile politely, lower their gaze, and wait for an alpha to decide their worth. I say screw that. My name is Ha-joon, and I've spent 23 years making sure no one ever gets to cage me. Not society, not some fated bond, not even my own biology. When my parents died, everyone thought I'd shatter. But my guardian, Chairman Han, never clipped my wings. He handed me freedom and a trust fund big enough to buy my way into any rooftop bar, any private jet vacation, any glittering party I felt like walking into. And I did. I learned quickly that money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure as hell buys freedom. Tonight was no different. The bass from the nightclub still rang in my ears as I stumbled out onto the balcony of my penthouse. My shirt clung to me with sweat, my throat raw from shouting along to songs I barely knew. I lit a cigarette I didn't need, leaned against the railing, and let soul sprawl beneath me. I wasn't drunk, never drunk. I liked control too much. But I liked watching people think I was. It kept them from asking too many questions. Questions like, why haven't you settled down? When will you let someone claim you? Don't you want stability? No. And hell no. I didn't want to be owned. I didn't want some alpha marking me like a trophy. And yet, my biology didn't always cooperate. My heats came like storms, inconvenient and brutal. I swallowed suppressants like candy, but I knew I was playing a dangerous game. One day, they'd fail me. But that was tomorrow's problem. Right now, I needed something else, space. That's how I ended up scrolling through vacation listings at 3 a.m, cigarette half-burned between my fingers. A cabin in the mountains caught my eye. Glass walls, hot tub, wood-burning fireplace. Isolated. Expensive. Perfect. Booked, I muttered, hitting the confirmation button without thinking. I didn't bother telling anyone, not even Chairman Han. He wouldn't care. He'd just remind me to pack a coat. Freedom. That was our unspoken deal. Snow crunched beneath my boots as I dragged my suitcase up the narrow path to the cabin. The cold bit at my cheeks, but I didn't care. Getting away from the city was exactly what I needed. No endless galas, no whispers about me being an unclaimed Omega with too much money. No matchmaking dinners Han tried to trick me into attending. Just me, a fireplace, and maybe a bottle or two of wine. When the cabin came into view, my heart actually skipped. It was perfect. Dark wood, wide glass windows, smoke already curling from the chimney. Wait. Smoke. My brows furrowed. Weird. I rented this place. No one else should be here. Dragging my suitcase across the snow, I climbed the steps and yanked open the door. And froze. 2 men were inside. Not just any men, tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of presence that sucked the air right out of a room. One sat sprawled on the couch, whiskey glass dangling from his fingers, a lazy grin tugging his lips. The other stood near the fire, arms crossed, eyes as sharp and cold as the wind outside. Alphas. My pulse spiked. The one on the couch smirked. Well, did someone get lost in the snow? I bristled. Excuse me? Who the hell are you, and why are you in my cabin? The one by the fire straightened, his gaze like ice cutting through me. Your cabin? This was reserved under Kong. Co. Ha-joon, I snapped. I booked this cabin 2 weeks ago. It's mine. The smirker, probably the younger brother, raised a brow. Funny. My brother and I booked it months ago. Brother. Twins, maybe. Same black hair, same sharp features, but their energies were night and day. One storm, one flame. Crossing my arms, I lifted my chin. Listen, I don't know what kind of scam you're pulling, but I paid for this place. You can pack up and leave. The cold one's jaw tightened. We're not going anywhere. My blood boiled. Neither am I. For a few tense seconds, the only sound was the crackling fire. Then the lazy one sighed and pulled out his phone. Fine. Let's call the agent. Whoever messed up can fix it. Good idea, I muttered, though my stomach sank. If this was a double booking. Static nearly drowned the call before a tired voice came through. Hello? Mountain Lodgings, Hannah speaking. Yes, this is Kong J1, the smirker said. I booked cabin 14. And I'm Ha-joon, I cut in, glaring. Also booked cabin 14. There was a long pause. Oh no, the agent finally said. It looks like there was a system error. You both reserved the same cabin. My mouth dropped open. What? Fix it. I would, she said quickly. But with the storm coming in, all our other cabins are full. And the network keeps going down. I'm so sorry. Please, just for tonight, make do. Make do. I echoed, scandalized. With them? Ryu-min, the cold one, judging by his voice, let out a growl. Unbelievable. Jae-won chuckled like this was the best entertainment he'd had in weeks. Looks like fate has a sense of humor. I don't believe in fate, I snapped, hanging up. Outside, snow lashed harder against the windows, thick flakes sticking to the glass. Perfect. Just perfect. Ryu-min's gaze pinned me, hard as steel. Stay out of our way, and we'll stay out of yours. Gladly. I shot back, dragging my suitcase toward the guest room. Top floor's ours, Jae-won called after me, his voice sing-song. Guess you'll have to settle for downstairs. I spun on my heel. Excuse me? He grinned wider. Unless you'd rather sleep in the snow. I hated him already. But the truth was, I wasn't going anywhere. Not with the storm trapping us here together. So I slammed the guest room door behind me, heart pounding. This was supposed to be my escape. Instead, I was locked in a cabin with two arrogant alphas. Fate, please. This was hell. The storm came fast. By nightfall, the wind howled like some starving beast clawing at the windows. Snow battered the glass so hard I half expected the whole cabin to shatter. I lay on the guest room bed, scrolling through my phone, but the network bars kept disappearing. Useless. My wine bottle was empty. Also useless. And worst of all, my stomach growled. The smell of something roasting had been sneaking under my door for the past hour, warm and savory and way too tempting. Whoever the Kong brothers were, at least one of them knew how to cook. I held out as long as I could before finally caving. Pushing open my door, I padded into the kitchen living room, trying not to look too impressed. The fireplace glowed, casting shadows across Ryu-min's sharp features where he sat reading on the couch. Jae-won stood at the stove, sleeves rolled up, stirring something that smelled unfairly delicious. Both their heads turned as I entered. Jae-won's lips curved into a grin. Well, look who decided to join us. The guest emerges. I rolled my eyes. Relax. I just came for food. Don't flatter yourself. Wouldn't dream of it, he said smoothly, though the gleam in his eyes said otherwise. He slid a plate toward me across the counter. Chicken stew. Unless you're too proud to eat alpha cooking. My stomach growled louder, betraying me. Heat rushed to my cheeks. I'm not proud. Just cautious. Sure. He winked. Don't worry. We didn't poison it. I muttered something unflattering and grabbed the plate, moving to sit at the far end of the dining table. Ryu-min didn't look up from his book, but I felt his eyes tracking me all the same, sharp and unreadable. The stew was annoyingly good. Rich, flavorful, the kind of thing that warmed you from the inside out. I hated that I had to admit it. Fine, I said after a few bites, glaring at Jae-won. It's decent. Decent. His hand pressed to his chest in mock offense. I slaved over that stove in this freezing cabin, and all I get is decent. I smirked. You want a medal? Congrats. You can boil chicken. Across the table, Ryu-min finally spoke, voice low and even. You're loud when you eat. I nearly choked. Excuse me? He looked up, expression impassive. You complain, you insult, you make noise. Do you ever just be quiet? For some reason, that stung more than it should. My temper flared hot. Why? Does my voice bother your delicate alpha ears? Jae-won choked on a laugh, quickly covering it with a cough. Ryu-min's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing, returning to his book. Typical. I finished my stew in silence, but every nerve was buzzing. Between Jae-won's shameless smirks and Ryu-min's cutting glares, I felt caged, cornered. But also strangely alive. Later, I found myself by the fire, curled in a blanket, scrolling uselessly through my phone again. The snow hadn't stopped. If anything, it had gotten worse, white walls swallowing the world outside. Jae-won dropped onto the rug near me, setting 2 mugs of steaming cocoa on the low table. Truce, he asked, sliding one toward me. Suspicious, I took it anyway. Why? Because, he said lightly. If we're stuck here, might as well enjoy it. Besides, his eyes flicked over me, lazy but sharp. I don't bite. Heat prickled my neck. You look like you do. His grin widened. Only when asked nicely. I rolled my eyes, taking a long sip of cocoa to hide the way my pulse skipped. Sweet, rich, a hint of cinnamon. Damn him. Careful, I muttered. Flirting with an Omega in a locked cabin might give people the wrong idea. Who said it was wrong? My throat went dry. For a moment, the storm outside vanished. There was only the fire's glow, the smug curl of his lips, the way his knee brushed mine under the blanket when he leaned a little too close. I should have shoved him back. Instead, I froze. Across the room, Ryu-min cleared his throat. The sound was sharp, pointed. My gaze snapped to him. He was still reading, but the way his jaw flexed told me he hadn't missed a single word. The tension crackled, hot and heavy, until I forced myself to stand. I'm going to bed. Sweet dreams. Jae-won called after me, tone dripping with mischief. I slammed my door harder than necessary. Alone again, I pressed my palms to my face. My skin felt too hot, my chest too tight. It wasn't just the storm. Or the kangs. Something was off. I reached for the small pill bottle in my bag, shaking it. Only 2 suppressants left. I swallowed one dry, ignoring the bitter aftertaste. But even as I lay down, the thought gnawed at me. My suppressants weren't working as well as they used to. My body was restless, humming with something dangerous. I closed my eyes, forcing myself to breathe. It was fine. It had to be. By the next morning, the storm had swallowed the world whole. White stretched in every direction, a prison made of silence and ice. The cabin groaned under the weight of snow. Power flickered, making the lights stutter like a dying heartbeat. I sat by the window, blanket around my shoulders, glaring at the endless white. Bad news, Jae-won said, breezing in from the kitchen with 2 mugs of coffee. Roads are blocked. We're not getting out anytime soon. Shocking, I muttered, taking the coffee anyway. Ryu-min followed him in, phone in hand, expression grim. No signal. Landline's down too. His gaze flicked to me. We're cut off. I met his eyes, refusing to look away. Don't look at me like it's my fault. It feels like it, he muttered. I bristled. What's that supposed to mean? Just that you make everything louder. Before I could snap back, Jae-won whistled low. Easy, Hyung. You'll scare him off. I scoffed. Please. I don't scare easy. Ryu-min's stare lingered a second too long, like he was testing that claim. Heat crawled down my spine. I tore my gaze away, sipping my coffee like it didn't taste suddenly bitter. Later, when the power dipped again, Ryu-min grabbed his coat. We need more wood for the fireplace. Have fun, I said, sprawling on the couch. His brow arched. You're coming. What? You want to freeze when the heat goes out? His voice was sharp, commanding. I should have told him to shove it. But 10 minutes later, I was outside, boots sinking in snow, teeth chattering as I followed him into the woodshed. The space was cramped, stacks of logs towering around us. When I reached for one, the floorboards creaked under my weight, and I slipped. Ryu-min's hand shot out, gripping my arm, steadying me before I could hit the ground. For a moment, we froze. His body was solid heat against mine, his breath misting close to my cheek. His scent, clean, sharp, something woodsy, coiled around me, dizzying. Clumsy, he muttered, though his voice was rougher than usual. I jerked away, grabbing a log just to keep my hands busy. I didn't ask you to catch me. No, he said quietly. But I would have anyway. The words burned through me, sharper than the cold. I left the woodshed faster than I should have, heart pounding too hard. Back inside, Jae-won sprawled on the rug, a deck of cards in his hand. Finally. Thought you two had frozen to death out there. Shut up, I snapped, still rattled. He smirked. What you need is a distraction. Cards? Loser takes a dare. I rolled my eyes. We're not kids. Scared. I hated him. I hated him more when I sat down across from him. We played round after round, his grin never faltering as he dared me to hum cheesy songs, balance a spoon on my nose, drink cocoa without using my hands. Stupid, harmless things, but his eyes burned hotter than they should for something so silly. Then I won a round. Finally. Your dare, I said, leaning forward. Kiss the floor. He tilted his head, lips quirking. Or, his gaze flicked to my mouth. Kiss you? The air cracked like the firewood snapping in the hearth. I should have said no. I should have laughed it off. Instead, my breath caught. Before anything could happen, Ryu-min's voice cut in like ice. Enough. I startled, realizing he'd been watching us the whole time, book forgotten on the couch. His eyes were hard, jaw tight. The moment shattered, but the echo of it lingered in my chest, pounding. By the time I retreated to the guest room, my whole body was buzzing. Too hot. Too restless. I fumbled for my pill bottle. Empty. Panic spiked. I shook it again, desperate. Nothing. My body already knew. My skin prickled, scent shifting faintly sweet, betraying me. Suppressants had carried me for months, but they'd finally failed. And now I was trapped. With them. Morning crept into the cabin as a pale wash of gray light, but I felt it before I saw it. Too warm. Too restless. Too aware. My skin prickled with every shift of the sheets. The blanket that had been cozy last night now felt suffocating, and my body hummed with a low, dangerous thrum I knew too well. No, not now. I sat up quickly, dragging a hand through my hair, trying to shake the fog away. My head wasn't cloudy yet, but there was a sharpness in the back of my throat, a sweetness rising in my chest, and my whole body ached like it had secrets it wanted to spill. Suppressants gone, and I was trapped in a cabin, with not one but two alphas. Perfect, I muttered, shoving myself out of bed. The smell of coffee lured me to the kitchen. J1 was already there, perched on the counter like he owned the place, hair a messy halo, grin too sharp for this early. Morning sunshine, he drawled, holding out a mug. Don't call me that. I snapped, though I still took it. His gaze dipped over me, lingering. You look flushed. I turned away, heart kicking up. Cabin's too warm. His tone said he didn't believe me, but he let it go. Instead, he leaned closer, shoulder brushing mine as he reached for sugar. The touch was nothing, casual, harmless. Except my body jolted like he'd set fire to me. I stepped back too quickly. Coffee sloshed over the rim, burning my skin. Shit. J1 caught my wrist, thumb brushing the spill away before I could. His eyes flicked up, and for once the smirk was gone. It was too much. Too close. I'm fine, I said, jerking free. My voice came out thinner than I liked. From the doorway, Ryumin's voice cut through, steady and grounding. You're making a mess. I turned, scowling. Good morning to you, too. He crossed the room, plucked the mug from my hand, and set it safely on the counter. His fingers brushed mine, barely, but even that was enough to make my stomach clench. Try not to break anything else, he murmured, too close, too calm. And just like that, both brothers had me cornered without even trying. The day dragged in fragments. Shoveling the deck. Stacking more wood. Sweeping up melting snow tracked inside. None of it should have felt like anything. But every moment was sharp with awareness. When J1 handed me a shovel, his glove brushed mine. Static shot up my arm. He winked like he'd felt it too. When Ryumin steadied the ladder as I knocked icicles from the eaves, his hand pressed firmly at my calf. Protective. Anchoring. And my pulse spiked so hard I nearly slipped. I hated it. I hated how easily my body betrayed me. I told myself it was coincidence. That they were just being themselves. But deep down I knew the truth. My scent was slipping, sweet and sharp in ways I couldn't fully mask anymore. I saw it in their eyes when they thought I wasn't looking. The slight frown Ryumin wore, the sharper grin on J1's face. They didn't know. Not yet. But they felt it. By late afternoon, the storm howled harder. Snow pounded the glass walls, wind rattling the frame. The cabin felt smaller by the hour. I curled on the couch with a book, blanket over my legs. Across from me, Ryumin sat reading too, though he turned the same page 3 times without realizing. J1 stretched out by the fire, tossing a ball of rolled-up socks and catching it lazily, over and over. Every few minutes, his gaze flicked to me. Then Ryumin's would follow. Like I was gravity and they couldn't help it. I forced my eyes on the page, but the words blurred. My skin burned, my heart beat too loud. Stop staring. I snapped finally, slamming the book shut. J1 grinned. Who, me? Both of you. Ryumin's brow furrowed, calm but cutting. Then stop acting like you're hiding something. My stomach dropped. I laughed, too sharp. What the hell is that supposed to mean? But his eyes lingered, searching. J1 smirked like he already knew. I fled before either of them could say more. By evening, the lights flickered again, then died completely. Great, I muttered, clutching the railing of the stairs. Candles lit the cabin in soft, golden pools. Shadows stretched long, flickering with every breath of wind. It should have been cozy. Instead, it felt like a trap. I shut myself in the guest room, leaning against the door, chest heaving. My skin was too hot, my body trembling with a need I'd spent years keeping caged. Suppressants gone. No escape. And 2 alphas outside who didn't yet know just how dangerous this was about to get. I slid down the door, pulling my knees to my chest. The first real wave crashed over me, brutal and sharp, dragging a whimper from my throat before I could bite it back. God, it was starting. And this time, there was no stopping it. They say you can run from your mistakes. Pretend they never happened. Bury them under flashing lights, sweaty dance floors, and the taste of someone else's lips. I believed that. Hell, I lived it. The morning the snowstorm cleared, I walked out of that cabin with my travel bag slung over my shoulder and my heart slamming against my ribs. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. I told myself it was biology, nothing more. Heat and instinct, a storm inside a storm. And then I buried it. Seoul's neon glow swallowed me again. Parties, rooftops, champagne poured down my throat like water. On the surface, I was fine. The same flirty, reckless Omega everyone expected me to be. The same Julian Vale, Ha-joon to anyone who mattered, who could laugh too loud, kiss too easily, spend too much, and wake up without consequence. But at night, when the bass faded and the city quieted, I dreamed. Not in full memories, just flashes. A hand gripping mine too tightly, lips against my skin, two sets of eyes burning into me like brands. Jaewon's easy grin. Ryu-min's silent intensity. Two shadows I couldn't shake. When Mr. Han assistant called and said my guardian wanted to see me, I almost laughed in her face. "Tell him I'm busy," I said, sprawled across a velvet couch in some overpriced bar. "He said if you don't show up today, he's freezing your accounts." That sobered me up fast. So 30 minutes later, I was striding into the lobby of Han and Company, sunglasses on despite the marble-bright lights, leather boots clicking like I owned the place. If I acted untouchable, maybe no one would see the cracks. And then I froze, because sitting there, like fate had set the stage just to watch me squirm, were them. Jaewon, lounging in an Armani suit like it was made for sin, his smirk as lazy as it was dangerous. Ryu-min, upright, cold, and sharp, his dark eyes snapping to me the second I walked in. My stomach dropped. The air went thin. I thought I'd escaped them. That night was supposed to stay in the snow. But here they were, perfect, polished, untouchable, and every nerve in my body remembered. Jaewon's grin widened when he caught my stare. He stood with a stretch, slow and smooth, like a cat waking from a nap. "Well, well," he drawled. "Look who wandered right back into our lives." Ryu-min didn't smile. He didn't move either. He just looked at me, and the weight of his gaze was enough to pin me in place. I hated how my pulse jumped, hated how my throat went dry. So I smirked, lifting my chin. Didn't know strays were allowed in this building. Jaewon chuckled, low and wicked. "Still feisty. I like that." Ryu-min finally rose, unfolding to his full height like a shadow stretching long across the room. He closed the distance slowly, deliberately, until I had to tilt my head up to meet his eyes. "You think you can walk away from what happened?" His voice was soft, dangerous in its quiet. I laughed, sharp and fake. "Walk away?" "Honey," I ran. "And look, I'm fine." Ryu-min's gaze flicked, quick as lightning, to the faint mark at my throat where his mouth had pressed during the storm. His jaw tightened. Heat flushed my skin. I yanked my collar higher. Before I could say something that would get me in deeper trouble, the glass doors opened and Mr. Han swept in, calm and precise as always. "Excellent. You're all here," he said, gesturing between us as if nothing about this situation was a powder keg ready to explode. "Co Ha-joon, meet the Kong brothers, Jaewon and Ryu-min. They'll be working closely with us on the new merger." My stomach plummeted. Merger? Partners? Brothers? Fate wasn't laughing, it was howling. Jaewon extended a hand, eyes dancing with mischief. "A pleasure to meet you." I didn't take it. I folded my arms instead. "Funny. Don't remember inviting you into my life." He leaned closer, lips barely moving. "Maybe because you were too busy sneaking out of our bed." Ryu-min's eyes darkened at that, but he stayed silent. Mr. Harlow cleared his throat. "Co Ha-joon, be polite." I rolled my eyes. "Sure. Polite." I tried to brush past, aiming for the elevators, but Ryu-min's hand shot out and closed around my wrist. Not rough. Not restraining. Just steady. My heart stuttered at the contact. Heat flared where his skin touched mine, dragging memories I'd buried back into the light. "Let me go," I hissed. "No," he said simply. Jaewon's voice slid in from the other side, soft and smug. "You can deny it all you want, baby, but you liked it. You liked us." I jerked my hand free, chest heaving. It was heat. Biology. Nothing more. Even to my ears, it sounded like a lie. The elevator dinged open. Mr. Han gestured for us all to enter. I stepped in, desperate to put steel doors between me and the brothers, but the slip of paper in my pocket felt like it was burning through the fabric. The clinic's words echoed in my head. "Congratulations. You're pregnant." I hadn't told a soul. Not Mr. Han, not my friends. Not even myself, not really. But when Jae-won crowded in beside me and Ryumin's shoulder brushed mine, I saw the way their noses flared, subtle but sharp. They knew. The silence in the elevator was suffocating until Jae-won broke it, voice low, dangerous in its amusement. You should have known, baby. Suppressants don't always work. My breath caught. Ryumin's eyes locked on mine, unblinking. You're carrying. The words hit like a blade and a bomb all at once. I snapped back, but my voice cracked. It's not yours. It's not anyone's. It's mine. Not anymore, Jae-won murmured, and for once his smirk faltered, replaced with something startlingly earnest. Panic clawed at me. My freedom, my carefully built armor, all of it trembled under the weight of what this meant. I didn't ask for this, I whispered. You didn't have to, Ryumin said. His voice was steady, unyielding, but his eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. We'll protect you. Protect the baby. I laughed bitterly, but it came out more like a sob. Protect me? From what? From you. Jae-won leaned in, brushing a strand of hair from my face with surprising gentleness. From everything else. Let us. The elevator doors slid open to Mr. Ham's office. But I didn't move. Two alphas standing on either side of me, their vows pressing down like chains and lifelines all at once. I don't want to be owned, I whispered. You won't be, Jae-won promised. You'll be ours, Ryumin vowed. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure if that terrified me or if some part of me wanted to believe it.